Sairam, everyone. So, kind of a continuation of the last session, question and answers. Nandana ji is here. So many people sent questions. Arunan and Dr. Upatia and myself also sent some questions. Sister Anisha, Sister Meethu, Sister Vandana. So many people sent questions. All the questions I have already sent it to Nandanaji. So many questions there. So many questions still come in it, but I stopped because Nandanaji say up to Friday. So I up to Friday, whatever I received, I sent it to them. Others, I'm just holding it, probably on another session. We welcome Nandanaji as usual. Everyone knows Nandanaji, so you don't need to introduce her. Dr. Upadhyay, are you there?
Yes, I am there.
Okay,
Sairam.
Your question also been sent to Nandanaji. I hope every questions will be answered in an amalgamated way or whatever she thinks. You want to say something?
No. Just we wanted, looking forward to have our queries solved by Nandanaji and to pranam to Swami.
Okay, Sairam, Nandanaji, please take over.
Sairam. So I'll start with the traditional opening prayers. Everybody who knows them at home, please, you can join in at home. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahe, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarva Karyeshu Sarvada. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Sai Ram. Om Shri Sai. So, as Abalanji was saying, there are many questions and some of them are very similar. So I've tried to club the questions together that can be answered with one thing. And very interesting, actually, the questions, very relevant to, again, to day-to-day life, because Shastra is not something just for the books. It should be relevant for your day-to-day life as well, how you live your life. So the first question I will address is, if someone is in an abusive relationship or someone is in a bad situation and things are not improving, should that person accept this as their fate and bear it to complete their karma? And along with this, I had clubbed another question because it was very similar. How does a wife who is in a very mentally abusive relationship perform her dharmic duty? And how much does she surrender to Swami and put up with the husband's behavior? Okay, so these are talking about abusive relationships, either physically or emotionally. And Shastra is very clear about this, that we do not need to be subject to abuse. Every human being has the right to live and live happily. This is number one rule in the Shastra. Just as I wish to live happily, others also wish to live happily. And this is, again, the law of Dharma, which pervades this whole universe, is based on this happy coexistence. That's why Swami has always emphasized Dharma as a value that one has to inculcate into one's life. So it is not that one has to remain in any kind of abusive situation. Okay, so the first thing in life I have to see, are there changes I can make to my present situation? We never say at the beginning, if something unpleasant is there, we never say that you should just sit there and accept everything, however unpleasant things are. This is very interesting to understand, and it brings in a prayer that is not actually from our scriptures, but it is a very beautiful prayer given by a Christian saint. I cannot remember the name, but it's called the Serenity Prayer, which is 3 lines of absolute brilliance. It's exactly what the scriptures say. It is, oh Lord, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things I can, and give me the wisdom to know the difference. These three lines perfectly discuss what Shastra is trying to convey, that if I cannot change a situation, give me the peace, give me the serenity to accept that situation. Then I have to face it. That is when I have to say, this is my prarabdha karma. I have to face it. I have to go through this. Prarabdha means the karma that every individual has to experience in a particular lifetime, as we said, is called prarabdha. So I have to go through it. But the second line of the prayer says, give me the courage to change the things I can. Give me the courage to change the things I can. Very beautiful line. That means what? You do have a free will. Bhagavan has blessed everyone with a free will. And using that free will, I have choice. I can choose to change a situation. So I can make changes to unpleasant situation. I need not sit in India. Suppose, give an example. I'm in India and the AC is on. The AC stops working. And I sit in that hot room and I say, no, I have to bear it. I have to bear the situation. No, it is not that you have to suffer like that. You can get somebody to fix the AC or get a fan. There's options available to change the situation. But if nothing is available and the AC is broken, then you have to bear it. That's when bear all and do nothing, that comes into the picture only after all your options are exhausted. So courage to change the things I can. And the last line is equally important. Wisdom to know the difference. That means use your intellect, your discriminative capacity that's given to know when to stop. When you stop making effort to keep changing, then that wisdom has to come, because otherwise we're wasting energy in the wrong direction. So it is a very important to understand that one surrenders only to Bhagavan at the last time after having made all efforts. When the efforts are exhausted, then I say, thy will be done. Thy will be done. Oh, the Lord will take care. The Lord is very much in charge of that. So I hope that is clear. The second question was, at what stage or when can they leave the relationship to avoid their past karma following them in the next birth? Okay. So as I said, this, and then there was another question which I clubbed with this one, is moving away from the relationship an option, and will it create bad karma? So I think this has been answered with the first one, that you have a right to have self-respect, self-esteem. It's also very important in the Shastra, because you are also a part of Bhagavan. You're also part of this world, Jagat. It's not just you respect others, that you give, you love all and serve all. You also deserve to be loved. It is also a two-way thing in this world, right? Everything is reciprocation. So you have to love yourself as well. That's very important. Our scriptures say, and Krishna talks about it elaborately in the 6th chapter, the first few verses, where he talks about this ability to accept oneself for what one is. So I deserve to protect myself as well. And self-defense is advocated in our Shastra. It is advocated because I'm also, as I said, part of the order of Bhagavan. I have a right to protect this particular form as well from physical or mental abuse. So you can leave a situation where you're not able to change it, definitely. And Shastra doesn't talk about karma for that, because maybe your karma is finished in that particular situation. When a situation you are able to change, what does it mean? It means the prarabdha, the karma is finished with that particular person. What we usually do is that we cling to people. So we're actually prolonging our karma with other people. When things move out of our lives, we should let them go, very, very cheerfully let them go. There's a saying in Sanskrit, very nice, agate swagatam kuryat, gachantam nanivarayet, which means whatever comes to you, welcome it. It doesn't matter, whatever is, it's Bhagavan's prasadam, whatever comes in your life, welcome it. And what is leaving your life, let it go, don't cling to it. If the energy is leaving, if that nature of that thing is leaving, situations, people, are leaving, then let them go. Let them go, because Bhagavan is dissolving the karma with that particular situation or that person. So it's actually a good sign from the drishti of spiritual growth when your karma finishes in a certain area. So we never say that the wife has to go through the sufferings as per prarabdha. She can make efforts to rectify the situation. And again, if nothing works, it is accepted as prarabdha. So it doesn't create bad karma. Okay, this is, if I've left out any kind of extra understanding that whoever has asked the question, then you can ask at the end. But I think that covers this particular question. So somebody, again, going along with the same kind of similar thought, somebody had said, even in today's session, I had stated that the first duty of a wife is to serve their husband as per scriptures. So are we not equal? And why is this need for obedience to the patriarch? What is the spiritual reasoning? So a lot of the questions I got here was like women's lib questions, actually, this week. A lot of people, I think. So I found something that Swami had talked about. He had said the role of women. He said for Bharatiya women, this is in a Satya Sai Speaks volume, I think volume 12, for the Bharatiya women, the first duty is to reform the home and run it along ideal lines. The home is the basic social institution everywhere in the world. When the home improves, the world will be a better place. So Swami has actually Bharatiya women. When he says Bharatiya women, it means women of this ancient culture. He's not talking about, now everything has shifted. It is changing. We do adapt to today's day and day as well, today's day. But in those days, the roles of women, men, everybody were very well defined because Varnashrama system was there. Varnashrama system meaning Brahmacharya, Grihastha Ashrama, then you go to Vanaprastha, then sannyas. There was particular delineations for a way to live at particular periods of a person's life. So that was very, very clear. Again, I'm saying in those days. But even these days, Swami was always an advocate for bringing back the Vedic times where everybody had a certain role to play. And the women's role was very, very important. It is not lesser. Women were given very high precedence in the Shastra. There are in fact 30 plus Rishikas or Brahmavadinis, those women who actually taught the Shastra, who taught the scriptures, who chanted Vedic mantras, given in the Rig Veda. There's 30 plus women. So women had every right, in the Vedic times, had every right to also study Brahma Vidya, had equal rights as men. And men, what Swami says is that men should realize the high status of women and honor and respect them accordingly. So in one side, the women were giving to the men in the sense of they were serving them to, in those days, the men were the ones who were the bread earners, the going out, keeping the family. The women were the home keepers, meaning bringing up, educating the children, in charge of giving the children the right nutrition, emotional nutrition, as well as mental nutrition, every type of nutrition they would give in the home. So this, Swami says, in the same way, the men had a role to play with the women as well. The men should realize the high status of women and honor and respect them accordingly. They should not make women weep and shed tears. It is actually considered a papa, to do that. So a home where the women sheds tears will be ruined, he says. Men should give an honorable place for women and a respectable life. So this is the Swami saying this in one of his speeches as well. That is the level that Stri was held in. Stri is a woman in those times. So in olden days, the husband was also respected. Okay, so the husband was respected, but equally the wife was respected by the husband. Because the husband did his duties to take care of the wife and did not bother, and she had her own duties, she took care of her own duties. And he kept the wife at a very high position in life, because it is known in the Shastra, it said, the Devatas, or the presiding deities in the world, in the universe, you don't get their blessings if you don't keep your wife in a comfortable position, in a high position. So everybody wants the Devas' blessings for their household, for their home. So we have to follow nowadays the dharmas, keeping with the times. So we're not talking about obedience. There's no one who has the right to make you obedient or obsequious to them. But it is all a question of accommodation. This value comes in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, very beautiful value that Krishna discusses. It's called Kshantihi, not S-H-A-N-T-I. It is K-S-H, Kshantihi. It is a value which says that one should learn to accommodate others. This is the best value for families, best value for anyone in your life to work with anyone or live with anybody in your life. Accommodation means you accept the other people. Everybody has their flaws. It's very, very clear. We're all flawed beings. The whole nature of being a human being is flaws, right? So everybody comes with plus points and minus points. It is not anything unnatural. We are not perfect. But I learn this value. With this value, I learn to see the good in others, and I learn also to accommodate them. How do I accommodate? By seeing their behavior is in order, by seeing their mind is in order. There is an order to their psychology. They cannot be different than what they are in this moment because of the experiences they have gone through, because what they have actually, their actual mind they've been given with, they cannot be different. When I start seeing this order to people's psychology, in fact, in our Shastra, the psychological order is considered Bhagavan himself, Ishvara. It's an order, Ishvara's order. Biological order is also Ishvara. Physical order, Ishvara. Everything, Ishvara, Bhagavan. So even the order in my thinking, the order in somebody else's thinking, it is all in order. That is why we have disciplines of psychology and psychiatry, which study the order of psychology, right? If a child has to go through certain experiences during the childhood, that influences what they are in adulthood. If you look back, you can see people are very disturbed in adulthood. They've had quite disturbing childhoods as well. So there is an order to the whole thing. And I learn to more and more expand myself, accommodate people, Kshantihi, very beautiful value, which will help this harmony in the home. Mutual respect will be there. If everybody follows, they make a pact to say, we are going to practice this value. And let us, even though there may be disagreements, there's nothing wrong with disagreements. So, but let us talk it out, let us discuss it, let us resolve it. And Kshantihi, we will accommodate each other to the extent we can. So Kshantihi is this value of expansion, very beautiful value that Krishna discusses. So that is a very good one to practice in the home by both the couple, the husband and wife, and that will show mutual respect. There's nobody higher, nobody superior. Everybody is, doing their roles as per it unfolding of their roles. So in very beautifully on the topic of women, I found a discourse that Swami had given on 19th of November 1995 on Women's Day, Ladies' Day in Prashanti Nilayam. And he had again attributed the female. Somebody obviously had also thought about that females are lower than males, in the hierarchy of things. He said he doesn't say that is true at all. The Vedas, he says, the Vedas also describe feminine principle in various ways. Vedic rituals and practices accord a high place to women. The female is adored under different names such as Satyavati, Anyavati, Angavati, and Nidhanavati, he says. Satyavati proclaims the truth that the divine pervades the cosmos. God is not separate from nature, Prakriti. We'll see that a bit. I want to talk about that more. Nature is a form of the divine. Anyavati means the 5 elements are present everywhere in this universe: earth, water, fire, ether. These elements vary in subtlety, and there's a progressive order to their development. The Vedas declare that even the 5 elements are manifestations of the divine, and this aspect of nature is called Anyavati. Angavati principle points out to the deities that are responsible for what functions that happen in the universe. the special characteristics of deities are given this name Angavati. And the last one, Nidhanavati, these are actual rituals that you do in these areas. That's what he's discussing in the Veda. It's Shrauta Karma, it comes in the Veda. It is actual rituals that Swami is discussing. The Nidhanavati ritual, all these rituals he's saying are named after women. Okay, Nidhanavati ritual lays down 9 different ways in which the divine can be worshipped, such as Shravanam, Manan, we said Shravanam, chanting the name, Kirtanam, listening, chanting the name, etc. And all forms of worship, his point is, are presided over by these 4 feminine deities. Though the names are different, the goal is one. So again, importance of the female aspect in the whole of this creation. Another female question here. So Women's Lib Day today. We see in our scriptures that God always incarnates as male figures. Why is that? It is always Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, even Shirdi, Satya Sai Baba, male figures. All the prophets are also male figures. Is there any explanation for this? Okay. First of all, there is one female, yes, it is predominantly male avatars. There is one female avatar of Vishnu, which you may know, Mohini. She was the only female avatar of Vishnu, and she is like portrayed as the femme fatale who enchanted, who got the Amritam away from the Asuras and gave them to the gods. But why do we see only the forms? In our Shastra, it is actually said nobody is purely male, nobody is purely female. Everybody is a combination of both. This is very interesting. We have one depiction of Bhagavan like that. He is called Ardhana Ishvara. Ardhana Ishvara is the feminine aspect of Bhagavan is on the Shiva Shakti, on the left side. The masculine aspect is on the right side. We say Shiva Shakti as well. So in our culture, the male and female aspects are never separable. They are never separable. One is the power. The power is considered the powerful is considered the masculine energy. The powerful is invested with power. The power is the feminine energy. Manifestation of the powerful is the feminine energy. And this comes through, this idea is there throughout the Vedas. All the Vedas talk about this. And who is that powerful? We are going to now enter the worship of the power. Who is the power? The power, we're going to enter the worship of this power in about another month. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati. Navaratri is the worship of the power of Bhagavan. The power is looked on as 3 forms. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati. Ichcha Shakti, the power of desire. Kriya Shakti, the power of action. Jnana Shakti, power of knowledge. And these powers rest in the powerful. It is like you wave a hand. Is the waving separate from the hand? You cannot separate the waving from the hand. In this way, this is how the masculine and the feminine aspect of creation are always together, including in every form. No form outwardly is just a costume. That is what our Shastras say. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. These costumes will be thrown off. It is just a costume that we wear. But essentially, the male and female energy is what a jiva is. And this whole idea is also talked about in our Shastra as material cause and intelligent cause and creation. Most religions have only intelligent cause. And in our Vedic scriptures, we say there is not just intelligence here, there is a material for this universe. Where from did the intelligence get the material? The material is none other than himself, itself. The material for this whole universe is also Bhagavan. That is what the Shastra reveals. He is not just the intelligence in this universe, he is also the material. If he is the material as well, what does that make him? It makes him all-pervasive. Where is Bhagavan not? If he is everything in this creation, is there any place where he cannot pervade? No. That is the whole idea. Nimitta, abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. The material is depicted as a feminine energy, Maya. It is called Maya, the material Maya. And Brahman is that masculine energy which uses the power of Maya to create this Jagat. So this male, female, again, we should never look at avatars as purely male. It is only in the view, the outside view, the physical view. Every avatar comes with Shaktis. That is, Shakti is invisible, but doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We know avatars had powers. That Shakti is the feminine aspect in creation. And we have to also see from a different aspect, how were the avatars born? They did not just manifest plunk on this planet, did they? They came through women alone. They had great mothers. Kausalya, such a great lady, gave birth to Lord Rama. Ishwaramma gave birth to Satyasai. She is worshipped even to this day on 6th of May. Swami initiated that worship of his mother. That is how much importance he gave to the woman, and especially mothers in his, through his own example. And in our Upanishad also, there is in Taittiriya Upanishad, very beautiful line, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Matra Devo Bhava, mother always comes first. Mother is the first guru in anybody's life. Matra Devo Bhava, then father. After father, mother, father, only Acharya Devo Bhava. The teacher comes third in that Upanishad. So Swami says, again, in one of his discourses, he said, all the prosperity and the good that we find in this land of Bharat, India, is due to the strength and courage of women of virtue. Rama's divinity blossomed under Kausalya's loving care. Because of the tender feelings and austerity of Sita, Lava and Kusha achieved name and fame. So it is very important to see, it is not a male chauvinistic society at all, not what people have said. Women are given a very, very high place in the Vedic scriptures and the culture. Shiva Shakti, you have to remember, this Brahman Maya, they all come in pairs, they go together. So Bhagavan in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a beautiful verse in the 7th chapter. He says, Devi Hyesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Me Tam Tarantite. My divine energy, this Maya, that he's talking about his Shakti, Krishna is speaking. My divine energy, this Maya, consisting of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, these three gunas, these three qualities that pervade this whole universe, is very difficult to overcome. It is very difficult to get past this Maya, Duratyaya, because I get trapped in the power and I don't see the powerful. We get trapped in the vision of the power. In names and forms, the vision gets trapped and we don't see the essence of the names and forms, the powerful. So he says, how do I see that essence? Mameva ye prapadyante, surrender to me. Surrender to me, I will show you that vision. I will show you that I am the magician wielding this magic. Don't get trapped in my magic. Look for the magician. That is exactly how he's saying his power is non-separate from him. That power is the feminine aspect. So I hope with that, all the ladies in this group are satisfied with the answers, which show that women do have a very high place in our Vedic culture. So in the next question, bit of change, we've left that question. How do we learn to leave everything to God and be guided by God in our daily life? So as we had talked about in our previous session, leaving everything to God means what? It is the life of Karma Yoga. That is the main predominant theme of Bhagavad Gita, this Karma Yoga lifestyle, which means offering everything unto Bhagavan, offering my actions into Bhagavan. And offering the actions to Bhagavan doesn't mean I have to keep Bhagavan always in my thinking. I cannot keep Bhagavan 24/7 in my thoughts, right? I offer the action and then I do what's to be done. Because the mind is only capable of having one thought at a time. Our Vedic scriptures never believed in multitasking. You do something, you do it well, okay? So you have to concentrate on what you're doing, but before you do it, offer the action to the Lord. That is karma yoga. So how do we leave everything to the Lord? Leaving everything to the Lord is exactly this lifestyle. I have to live a very conscious, alert life, meaning bringing Ishvara, bringing Swami, constantly seeing that Swami is not away from me. He said so many times, I'm in you, around you, above you, below you, everywhere. He is always there with me in whatever I do. Having that, invoking Bhagavan's presence, before you do anything, and also with any result you get, that's very important. Any results you get in life are because of Bhagavan alone, and they're not just normal results, even if they're unpleasant. Even if they're unpleasant, not as you wish, it is all happening as per his wish. His wish means his order. That is what I have to see again and again. So this is how I'm guided by God in my life. When I see whatever is happening to me at every moment of my life is what Swami wishes. It is what Bhagavan wishes to happen. It may not be what I wish to happen. Definitely, most of the time in our lives, it's not what I wish to happen. It is most of the time not what I wish to happen. Very, very rarely I get what I want in life. Of course, I do get sometimes, but it is not always. So many factors have to come together for me to achieve what I really want. So when they don't come together, how do I react? Do I get depressed? Do I get despondent? Do I start getting angry with Bhagavan? Do I get angry with other people? No, that is not leaving everything to God. That is not being guided in our daily life by God. So guidance is ultimately from your own conscience. Your own conscience is your best guide, because Bhagavan is there, very much there in everybody's conscience in the form of Dharma. He is Dharma for us. Dharma is not a mandate in our Vedic scriptures. It is not, thou shalt not do this, it is not a mandate. Very form of Dharma is called Ishvara for us. So he pervades you as well in the form of Dharma. You know very much what is right. You know very much what is wrong, meaning it is governed by what you would like people to do to you. How you would like to be treated, you also treat others that way. Maybe people don't treat you how you wish to be treated. Definitely, that also happens, but it doesn't mean I stop treating others how I wish to be treated. That's very important. Others may not treat me the way I wish to be treated, but I still don't stop treating others how I wish to be treated. Meaning, I conform, I live a life of values. Values become more important to me than the palam I get. Let people treat me whatever the way they want. That is also prasadam for me. I take it as Bhagavad prasadam. It is prasadam for me, and I still do what's to be done. But I am very committed to a life of values, because I'm more interested in inner growth than outer growth. That is a spiritual person. Spiritual person is more interested in inner growth, and outer growth is important, but inner growth becomes predominant, because moksha is the goal, and moksha talks about inner growth more than outer growth. So this is how I am guided, and I leave everything to Bhagavan. So another question, follow on from that. What is the best way to handle karma, negative karma, in a positive way, so that it will make good things happen even in the next life? Again, it is karma yoga lifestyle, as very similar answer to the previous one. The only way to handle negative karma manifesting in your life is by accepting things as prasadam. You always have to, it's called prasada buddhi. Every time you have unpleasant things in your life, remember how you take prasadam at the temple. When the priest comes and gives the naivedyam from the altar as prasadam in your hand, even if you don't like the naivedyam, you don't throw it back at him. You don't throw it back at the altar and saying, I want something else. Don't give me this. Bring me some nice jalebis. I don't want this prasadam. Chundal, I don't like. Bring me some jalebi instead. I do not say that in the temple. Why? I bow my head humbly. How? I touch the prasadam to my eyes and I consume it. However tasteless it is. That is exactly the attitude that Shastra says one should bring into one's life with situations in life. Whatever unpleasant situations you experience, take it as prasada. It is from the altar of Bhagavan, who is the karma phala data. And how do I take it in a positive way? One of the values that the Shastra discusses, and it is in Viveka Chudamani, which means crest jewel of wisdom, Viveka of discriminative analysis. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam saatitikshani gadyate. Very beautiful verse which says, how should I take unpleasant things in my life? Sahanam sarva dukkhanam. Bear any unhappiness that you have to face. Bear it. Sahanam. Don't resist it. Let it come. Welcome it. This is very difficult, I know, to do. But I have to see. When I see as prasadam, I welcome it. Yes, Bhagavan, my papa karma is getting exhausted. Let it go. I'm not interested. It is your prasadam. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam. But how? Not gritting my teeth and saying, oh, I accept prasadam, yes. No, not like that. That is not real acceptance. Apratipakara purvakam. Apratipakara purvakam is actually one step further. Adi Shankara has composed this shloka. He's actually saying, don't need to even make effort to change it. If it's Bhagavan's prasadam, the real highest type of living is to not even apratipakara purvakam. Don't need to make effort. Let things come. Whatever unpleasant, be ready to accept. Apratikara purvakam. And how? How do I accept it? Chinta vilaparahitam. Chinta means without worry. What's going to happen? What's going to happen tomorrow? This has happened to me. How am I going to be tomorrow? That chinta, that worry should go, because worry is a sign that you think you're in control of your life. Worry always shows I am in control of my life. And this is not the case. There is a law which is in order for everybody's life. So why worry? If I believe that Bhagavan is with me 24/7, why worry? Let him take care. Chinta vilapa rahitam. Don't have this chinta, worry. Vilapa also. Don't have vilapa. What is vilapa? Complaining. Why did Bhagavan do this to me? Why do I have to go through this? Constantly doing this mantra instead of saying Om Shri Sai Ram. Why do we always ask? I always ask this question to students. We never say, why not me? We always say, why me, why me, why me? The thing should be spiritual life. You should say, why not me? Let Bhagavan do. I'm ready to face whatever challenge. He will give me the strength to go through it. Why not me? It's my karma. Let me exhaust it. So this is how we turn even most negative, most unpleasant situations in our life into something positive. And this will definitely ensure, if we are reborn, a very good next janma as well, to have this type of attitude. So this question, next question is again karmic question. If a person is harmed accidentally and unintentionally, what would be the karmic result of such an act? So definitely intention is very, very important in the Shastra. What I intend gives more karmic phalam, so more fruits of results of the action. Intention is always seen by that order, but at the same time, the action has been committed. Even if it's accident, even if it's unintentional, an action has been committed which has harmed somebody else. So the law in nature is that, just as there's a law of gravitation, there's this laws that govern the nature, there is this law of karma. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? This is a law that governs our whole universe, actually. So, but because the intention is not there behind it, the reaction is much, much reduced. But it does not mean it is not there. So we have to say there will be a result for action, but it will be mitigated because intention is not there. We can even see this in our day-to-day life. Where do we see this? When you look at, in crime, premeditated murder has more sentence than crimes of passion, right? When somebody acts without free will, out of some kind of emotion that's taken over in the moment, then they have a reduced sentence. It's manslaughter, or it's reduced second-degree murder, or something like that. But premeditated has the highest top sentence. So it's there even in our society has recognized this. When the intention is there, definitely the result is greater. When you don't intend, it is mitigated, but you still have to go through, right? So it is a very, good question. And Shastra also offers remedies for this. If you have harmed somebody, there are certain karmas that the Vedas talk about. I'm not going to go into that, that's for another session, but there is something called Prayashchitta karma. I don't know whether you've heard of that. Prayashchitta karma are karmas done or actions done to offset papa karma. So if you feel you have done something to harm the environment, you've done something to harm a person, there is always a karma that you can do to offset that papa karma, which means it will mitigate, it will definitely lessen the result. So suppose you are, you've harmed, you killed, accidentally you ran over a deer as you were driving, and you didn't mean to do it, but the deer died. Then how do you offset that karma that you've done? Because you didn't mean to do it, but the deer has died, it ran in front of your car. What could you do? Then you donate to an animal sanctuary, or you do something to feed animals. You do something to compensate for that karma. So it is called Prayashchitta karma. There's always another action that you can do to compensate any kind of wrong done intentionally. So this is that question. How could, now different topic, I think some asked by some young people, how could students apply Bhagavad Gita teachings when they're preparing and writing exams? So of course, again, everything comes down to do your best, let God take care of the rest. That is the number one mantra. Do your best. You have to make efforts for success. Okay, so you make all efforts, put everything, all the talents, all your skills, you put it into the preparation for the exams, and only effort can invoke the unknown factor, right? There are two factors responsible for anything successful in life. Most human beings think it's effort alone that equals success. Most human beings work on this law that my effort, if I put in the effort, there will definitely be success. Shastra says no, there is an unknown factor. It is not just effort that equals success. What is that unknown factor? It's called Daivam, grace. You cannot exclude grace from your life. Your effort invokes grace. And that grace is that factor that is responsible for success. Any success in any field, it is only due to grace and effort alone. So effort plus grace equals success. So along with making the effort, invoke Bhagavan's grace, which means through prayer, through service. What Swami has been telling us all along, through all of these methods, you can invoke his grace. You cannot just sit in front of chapati and potato on your plate and chant chapati, potato, and expect it to feed your hunger. You have to make effort to put the chapati in your mouth and chew it and then swallow it, right? You have to make efforts. You cannot sit and expect to get 100% in your exams if you don't make effort. So you make effort. Bhagavad Gita in 6th chapter talks about mindfulness. Bhagavan talks about meditation, mindfulness, how I bring this focused mind. Focused mind is necessary for everything. So in that way, these mindfulness practices of Bhagavad Gita will definitely help also to focus your mind, to prepare, and definitely you leave after preparation, you have no say in the matter. That is it. You have no more say in the matter. You go and sit, write the exam, leave it to the Lord. He will take care again. How could young people apply Bhagavad Gita teaching at workplace in this contemporary world? So Bhagavad Gita's teaching is what? It is all the workplace, I've noticed, because I did, when I was at college, I did my dissertation on Bhagavad Gita and leadership styles from Bhagavad Gita. So it was a business degree and it was applicable. But every other thing, when I did the research, I found all the articles were written about how to manage others, how to manage your team, how to manage. Leadership was always based on how to manage everybody else. What does Bhagavad Gita say? Manage yourself first. It is very different. Bhagavan says, manage yourself first. That is what he's teaching Arjuna. It is self-management that comes before others' management. If a leader has not managed himself, how can he manage anybody else? So it is manage yourself first. If you manage your own self, then you can manage others very easily. And how do you manage yourself? Well, it's a big dissertation, but one of the things I found was that the main teaching of the Gita, this idea of samatvam, this idea of equanimity, the equipoise. If you are in the workplace and you're always perturbed by what's happening, something little goes wrong and you cannot function like that. If that type of mind you have, very difficult to work. Whereas a person of equipoise, samatvam, which Gita teaches, if I gain that equipoise, and through such verses like matra sparshas kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkada, all of these verses, they talk about equipoise and accepting siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva, whatever result comes, again Bhagavan says, be relatively the same, whether success comes or whether failure comes. Don't worry about it, you just do what's to be done. Success and failure are in my hands. So even in the workplace, I can bring in this karma yoga attitude, and also this attitude of shanti, to accept my work people. There will be difficult characters. Everybody in life has to deal with difficult characters. If we cannot escape to the Himalayas and say, I'm not going to deal with the world anymore, because you will still have your mind there to deal with. So here, difficult characters we have to meet in life, but how do we behave with them, which is where Swami's love all, serve all, very important as well to bring in. But also we have to understand that we accommodate people, that Shanti, the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he talks about accommodating people. At the same time, when somebody is given to wrong behavior, I have every right in the workplace to correct the behavior, but in a nice way. I do things with the least disturbance to people and situations around me. That is the rule, the least disturbance to people and situations around me. So if I live this life of values, even in the workplace, I may not be get the highest of promotions. I may not, climb up the career ladder by living a life of values, but I will have peace of mind. That's what Shastra says. It is more important to have peace of mind than reach your goals by hurting everybody along the way. There are many people who do that because the goal becomes more important than the means. For a spiritual aspirant, the means is more important than the goal. How do I get what I want? You never say don't go for what. Shastra never talks about not going for what you want. You can go for everything, because the artha kama dharma moksha, the pursuits of human being, is open to everybody. But how do you get what you want? It is that how that becomes very important, even in our workplace. I do not compromise dharma. I do not compromise my values to get what I want. If I'm asked to compromise, I abstain from that action. And that is actually going on to the one question that Amalanji asked as well. Sometimes we engaged in some action unwillingly or by force by associates, which can't be described as a good deed, but it may yield a good result. As a karma yogi, is it right to engage in these kind of activities? What will be the karmic consequences? So going along with this, it's again, the means are important to us as spiritual aspirants. It is more important than the end. So if there's some associates which say you get the good result by doing a wrong deed, karma yogi will not do that. And in another scenario, if you're forced to do the wrong deed because it's your job, you have to do it and it's your role, then again, we have prayaschitta karma to offset. So there are people, I remember my Vedanta guru, Swami Dayananda, a lot of, especially in India, very difficult to function as business people because there is corruption. It pervades the whole country. And there are things, if you cannot do things in that way, then you don't survive in India. So there is these type of situations that they had to face, even though the intention is to follow dharma, to follow values. Sometimes you're forced to do things to survive, basically survive. So he always used to say, if your business needs to survive and you have to do such things in a country which setup is like that, then always do prayaschitta karma. That's why these business people in India, if you see, they do so much dhanam. They run hospitals, free, these big business families, they will be doing a lot of dhanam on the side. This is to offset all the papa they're creating from their businesses. So it is a way that Shastra makes you relieve, your guilt actually that you have in your mind. So they give the money that they earn also to society, to the, help of other human beings. So, but generally, if we can avoid a karma yogi will definitely avoid, because a karma yogi is very clear that the adrishta, or the unseen result of action, will definitely go into storage in my karmic account, and they will manifest in future definitely as unpleasant situations in my life, either in this janma or another janma. So if I can avoid doing a wrong action, I will refrain from doing that action. So that is an important thing. So there was one other question from that same person: how could young adults apply Bhagavad Gita teachings when they choose their partners? So this one I wasn't really, because Bhagavad Gita is not a matchmaking text, so I wasn't really able to answer this one fully. Again, if you manage yourself, definitely you will attract the right partner in your life. Yet bhavam tat bhavati. What you attract, what you think. You are what you think. Bhagavad Gita makes you think in the right direction. So when you start thinking in the right direction, definitely you will invite people or partners into your life that also think along the right direction. So the best way, again, I would say, you manage yourself first, and then everything will happen for you. I think maybe there's no time. I will just, one last question I will just answer. So respecting all the Vedic scholars, the ultimate goal for spiritual seekers is to attain realization, union with God or moksha. To reach this is love towards God and 100% devotion not enough? Well, very good question. A lot of people have that doubt. Swami himself says, again from Prema Vahini, please go back and check, between bhakti and jnana, so bhakti is devotion, jnana is knowledge, there is no difference. There is no difference, he says. Just as saguna becomes nirguna, the form becomes formless. Bhakti too becomes jnana. Devotion develops to knowledge. He says, I will not agree that karma and bhakti and jnana are separate paths. I do not even like to classify one of these as first, the other as the second, and the next as third. I will not accept a mixture of all the three, or even a samuchaya, a merger of the three. Karma is bhakti and bhakti is jnana. They are one and the same ultimately. Because you cannot have jnana without bhakti, and you cannot have bhakti without knowledge. You need knowledge of Ishvara for having devotion towards Ishvara. You have to relate to something, right? You need the knowledge of what you're relating to. Then only bhakti is there. Bhakti is a way of purifying the mind. That is what Shastra says. It is purifying. What is bhakti? It is living the life of karma yoga. Without bhakti, you cannot live as a karma yogi. So bhakti is there very much in life. Bhakti purifies the mind. Antavkarana in the Shastra, it's called Antavkarana, purifies the mind ultimately to jnanam, to give you jnanam, which helps you to see Bhagavan. Because it's a question of ignorance only that keeps us away from ourself, the real self, Atma. It's the ignorance that only keeps me from seeing who Bhagavan is. This is why I'm ignorant, and why jnanam is necessary. My Vedanta teacher used to say, Swami Dayananda, very beautiful story about going to a temple. How can you go to a temple complex? You can, suppose you're going to Tirupati, you can go by train, you can go by bus, you can go by helicopter, you can walk over the 7 hills, you can reach the temple in many, many different ways. But when you get to the temple, you enter the temple, Garbhagraham has one door only. The Sanctum Sanctorium, there's only one door to enter. And that door is jnanam. You have to know Bhagavan to realize the truth. It is knowledge alone, ignorance. Nothing else is opposed to ignorance. So even a bhakta, a devotee, will definitely have knowledge at the end. It's knowledge. What is the knowledge? You read Bhagavatam, the Gopikas so attached to Krishna's form. But at the end, what happened? They actually, they had to leave the form. They discovered Atma. Uddhava Gita is given. Bhagavan says, tell the Gopikas, full of Advaita, non-dual wisdom. He goes and tells the Gopikas, who all their lives lived only for that form Krishna, tell them this non-dual wisdom, that I and they are not separate. That is ultimate resolution in spiritual life, that Bhagavan is not separate from me. And this teaching was given to the Gopikas who realized the truth. And then forms did not matter anymore because they knew Bhagavan and I are one. What is the difference? There's no difference at all. So bhakti is very important in the pursuit, definitely. But it is all together, and it culminates in jnanam of the Lord and of oneself. That is why Brahma Vidya, in the Upanishads, it's called Brahma Vidya, knowledge of the self. Atma Jnanam, knowledge of the self. It is not called Atma Bhakti. Bhakti prepares the mind. That without bhakti, you cannot get a prepared mind. But it is knowledge alone that removes ignorance. Knowledge alone as opposed to ignorance, nothing else. So with that, I have a couple more questions, but I will finish for today. Maybe we can do that another time.
Sairam Nandanaji, thank you very much for answering most of the questions, and it's overlap, and you covered most area. Thank you very much. Dr. Upacha, you want to ask anything, or maybe we can take another 10 minutes, Nandanaji, from you. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, okay.
There is a time is not there, but there was one question that bothers all of us who reads Gita, is despite of listening to God, Lord Krishna, did what he did. He was very reluctant to do. And still he has to go through the consequences. In our life, Swami asked us to do something, and he said, Tava vachanam karishe, you follow my instruction. Do we still have to go the consequences like Arjuna did? If Raji can reply this now or next time.
Yeah, I think, you know, we cannot escape our prarabdha. That's one thing. But having Bhagavan's support will definitely help the mind accept the shocks that we have to go through. Otherwise, very difficult to go through. So even Swami, definitely, you know, I lived there for a long time. He did not cure everybody. We hear of the cures, we hear of all the miracles, we hear, but not everybody. Some people he gave even the choice. I remember somebody very close devotee in a wheelchair who had an accident, car accident. And Swami said, I can heal you in this life, I can make you walk, but you will have to experience this in your next janma. Do you want to experience, I can heal you now, do you want to? And that person very, very intelligently said, no, I will go through this karma of being in the wheelchair because you are here in this janma. I can face it because you are with me, Swami. I don't want to go in another janma and have this. What a beautiful answer. So that person was actually wheelchair bound after that. Swami gave the choice. So it is very, very important to see that whatever Bhagavan does is for the best. Even if he tells you to do something, it is not something that you feel that, you know, it is along with what you feel. But Bhagavan knows, he sees past, present, and future. My vision is what? Only now. I cannot see anything. He sees past, present, and future. And that, with that faith, I should continue with the words of Bhagavan. I hope that helps.
I don't think I put my question correctly. What I was asking was, like Arjuna was reluctant to do something, and he did because Krishna says that you do this because I'm asking you. And still Arjuna has to go through the consequences of all the suffering and pain when he left his body. In the same way, when we do something, when Swami asks us to do, and it has got the repercussion, do we have to go through that karma, though it was the instruction of the Lord?
Yes, yes. So there is some reason, because, you know, when the Lord, I know also people who are very close to Swami, there were many things instructed as well, very tough things that they had to do. But it is, if there's a belief that, you know, he is Bhagavan, then he is using you as an instrument. Maybe you are an instrument for somebody else's life. We don't know. But it is total surrender that one has to have in, you know, the words of the Lord. Whatever he does is probably, we cannot see the whole picture. Again, we cannot see the whole picture in that moment. And it may seem adharmic, but in the play of things, in the scheme of things, there is a reason to it happening. Why do we need to know the reason? We don't need to know the reason. Even in the Mahabharata, number one example, Krishna did many things which are questionable. I don't know whether you've read Mahabharata, but but it was all for the many things that even when Ashwatthama, they could not kill Ashwatthama, Drona's son, right? And he said, he told Yudhishthira, who was the Dharma Raja, who could not speak one lie, he said, say, Ashwatthama is dead, when he knew Drona cannot be destroyed in any other way unless he's weakened by the emotional loss of his own son. But he did not lie. He said there was an elephant called Ashwatthama. And he said, kill that elephant and shout, Ashwatthama is dead. And they did what Krishna said. They did because they trusted him. It didn't seem the right thing to do, but it helped win the war, which was what Bhagwan's intention was all along. The elephant was killed. There was no lie really told there. But Drona, when he heard his son's name and that the son has died, he could not fight any longer. He became overcome with grief. And when Drona was lost to the Kauravas, the battle was as good as lost.
So that will not count the unrighteous, that telling lie because the God's instruction win the war, which was the intention of the Lord.
Yeah, so Dharma is interpretable. We have to be very, very, in a Shastra, it is not black and white, it's interpretable. So sometimes I have to harm in order to help. A surgeon's knife cuts somebody, but I'm creating himsa, I'm doing harm. Am I harming? I'm cutting somebody, but am I harming? No, ultimately I'm doing it for their best. There's a very nice, I always use this example, but this movie, this Imitation Game of Alan Turing, and when he discovered the code of the Nazis, I don't know whether you've seen that, he's discovered the Nazi, the Enigma code. He actually sacrificed a whole flotilla of ships, despite his colleagues saying, if we disclose this code, we can save those people, 500 people, we can save them if we let out this code. But he said, no, if we let out this code, the Nazis will win the war. We have to sacrifice these people in order to win the war ultimately. We cannot let them know we have the code. So in that case, himsa was done, but for samashti dharma, for the whole dharma in the long run.
Thank you very much. Beautifully explained. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I think Nikhila was asking in the chat box, somebody, can I ask a question? Is it you, sister? Somebody sent a text through the chat box, say, can I ask a question? Okay, I think...
yes, Sairam, it is me. It is me. Are we running out of time? It's fine. I can always ask some other time.
Nandana, are you okay to answer one more question?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's please go ahead.
Sairam, Nandanaji, again, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful explanation to so many things and so many doubts. How does one explain to someone about God's benevolence when they don't believe in karma? Is there any other way which is easily acceptable if people don't believe in karma, in the karmic theory?
So we talk about, one thing which is unique with our scriptures is that we don't talk about God just being benevolent. He is everything. So he's he's in the form of order. He's actually the impartial order that permeates this universe. So all of the, and living closely in Swami's proximity also, one can discover that. He can be like Rudra sometimes. Then do we love him less because he can be like Rudra? No, we know that he's doing it for the good of the people around. So God has all aspects. We have Sri Rudram as what? Shiva in the form of anger. We're actually, if you see the meaning of Sri Rudram, you're actually saying, ward off your arrows from us. Please, don't manifest the papa karmas for us. That is that's why Swami told us chant Sri Rudram, because it is the greatest prayaschitta karma you could do, the chanting of Sri Rudram, to ward off these unpleasant results manifesting in people's lives. Swami had advised that from the beginning. But going back to your doubt, if I cannot, we don't need to mention the word God, because as soon as we mention God, people get terrified. Shastra talks about orders in the universe. It's very easy to accept that for us, we know God is in the form of orders. Orders mean everything. He's in the Shastra says he's in the form of the physical order, he's in the form of biological order, he's in the form of karmic order, dharmic order. So if we can discuss with people in this level of orders, because these days people are very scientifically minded, and science does not contradict Veda. It is absolutely non-contradictory. And this is for us manifestation of the Lord. He permeates this universe in the form of various orders. So even if you don't believe the karmic order, there is an order. We can talk about there's an order to what is happening in one's life. And one has to start seeing that order, Again, if they don't accept the karma, we don't have to talk about purva janma, past janma, but to ask them to see that there is an order, there is a reason why things happen. We may not know the reasons, but we're more worried about or more interested in how to face what we have to face now. We don't need to really go back to past life. What did I do in my past life to deserve what I'm getting now? What is going to happen in my future life? No, it is what I have to deal with now. Shastra is very practical. What is opening up to me now? This is the challenge I'm facing. How do I deal with it? And the best thing you can make them see that by resisting what is happening, they're creating more suffering for themselves. Whole life, you create more suffering when you resist what is happening in your life. So we don't need to use the word surrender. We say, don't resist life. What is unfolding for you in life, don't resist. Then we don't bring an Ishvara or God or Swami or anything at all there in that statement. Because you can explain logically, by resisting what's happening, how are you helping yourself? You cannot change the situation. It is the way it is. By saying it shouldn't be like this, why is it like this? I shouldn't be going through this. You're actually creating more suffering for yourself. And nobody wants suffering. Nobody wants suffering. So life, in fact, the Shastra says the actual definition of surrender is what? Total non-resistance to life is surrender. Total non-resistance to life is surrender. It's a beautiful explanation for surrender. Sharanagati, I don't resist every moment. Let things be. I don't resist. Let them be.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sairam.
Sairam Nandanaji, I think the question session we can finish it in about 3-4 minutes time. 11:15 we start bhajan. You have answered 2 of my questions. Thanks very much. Can I ask one more question? I picked up from you just mentioned, you are talking about papa karma offsetting with papa karma. If people can have a parika for that papa, the wrongdoing, what they're going to do, so they think there's a way of escaping from that, from the consequences and doing bad things, and do the parika, and they can come off that one. Don't you think it's put you in a wrong track?
Yeah, but again, as I said, you cannot escape papa. You cannot escape it fully. Prashchitta will not make you nullify the papa karma you do. There will definitely, for intentional going against dharma, there will definitely be a reaction, a karmic reaction in people's lives. This prashchitta is mainly to resolve your mind, because the guilt is there. For such people, see, who do papa karma intentionally, there won't be guilt, because they're getting what they want. They're compromising values, they compromise dharma. Definitely they will get very severe reaction karmically. But for those people who have done, we're talking, who do this unintentionally, Dr. Upadhyay asked a question, who don't mean to do this, but at the same time, there is some karmic reaction. For those people who have suffered with guilt in their mind for such an action or anything committed, this prashchitta will give you that peace of mind to say, I've done this karma to offset that. So it is mainly for people who are very conscious over their actions in accordance with dharma. Only those people will do prashchitta, in fact. The other people, it doesn't work like that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Dr. Upadhyay and everyone you asked questions, I think Nandanaji was maximum answers all the questions. Thanks very much, Nandanaji. Wonderful. You want to wrap it up, Dr. Upadhyay? Then we go to the bhajan session.
Yes, I think I'd like to say one thing, that Nandanaji has really taken the Jnana Ganga and Jamuna of Swami's teaching with her knowledge, the Saraswati of Vedanta and knowledge of the Gita, to the conference of Prayaga with all these beautiful questions for everybody to ask. We are very fortunate to have Nandanaji amongst us. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, everybody's questions was very good, and the best thing was immediately Swami made me find where he has spoken about it immediately.
The beauty is
that
that you really,
yeah,
beauty is that you bring so beautiful the knowledge of the Gita and Swami's teaching. You bring it so beautifully, because sometimes people try to divert, but you bring it together, and that makes it so clear. Really, God has given you that.
It's His grace. Every time I was thinking, I was praying, Swami, where do you speak this? It would just come to me. Where do you speak about this? It would come. That is Swami. So it is. That's why it's beautiful to see. It's not what Shastra is saying is not different. What Swami has been telling is exactly the same, but it is unfolded. Swami's words are being unfolded to you, so you can understand what Swami is trying to convey more.
Yes, I must say that you are Swami's gift to this satsanga. Thank you.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram again, Nandanaji, thank you very much. We are blessed to have here with the Swami's grace. Thank you very much, and we hope we have more session from you. Thank you. Shall we go to the
questions?
Thank
Very
you.
interesting questions. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thank you. I think the whole congregation is beneficial from these questions.
I'll just finish with some prayers and then.
Okay. You want to sing or you want to pray?
I'll just finish with some prayers. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashyavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jogamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.